Peace. I'm here today with one of our brothers, Allah Intelligence, one of the gods from Medina, Brownsville to be exact.
Billsville.
So the God's been having knowledge of self for years, months, and days. And ever since he's been married on to this nation, he's played an instrumental role in making sure that these teachings remain right and exact. And one of the things that he's been doing as well, upon him getting knowledge of self, is he has been making sure that brothers who get through their rite of passage receive their flag in the proper manner, meaning they get properly examined to show forth and prove that they have all our cultural tenets right and that they knowledge 120 lessons. But that's not what we're here for today. What we're also here for today, what I would like to bring to light, is one of our brother's newest contributions to this nation, which we're going to get into later down the line. However, one of the sciences that our brother deals with is the science of numismatics. And for anyone out there who doesn't know what this science is, it's basically the study or collection of currency, things like coins, tokens, paper money, metals, things of that nature. And our brother has been dealing with this science for years, months, and days now. And upon him dealing with this science has led him to be inspired to be able to add this knowledge onto our nation. So I'm not going to get too much into that. I'm going to let the God speak for himself. So real brief, God, go ahead and give us a brief introduction on, how you came into this knowledge.
Peace. Peace to the gods, peace to the earths. All right, my name is Allah Intelligence from Medina, Brownsville. I've been a 5%er for the better part of Free Sight for years now. That's 40 plus years. And I just want to tell y'all, my interest in numismatics, which is the study and collection of coins, and how I've used what, I enjoy doing to, better, put our nation, in a position that's recognized by a lot of other nations, across the planet, all right? When I was like, let's just say 13, 14 years old, I found my first buffalo Indian head nickel, and I was just, I just remember when I was young and when I first found it, like I was just, blown away, like, whoa, what's this right here, an Indian head? Because at that time, the only nickels that I had seen was, Jefferson nickels, with the Monticello building on the back of it. So when I saw the Indian head, it was something about it that just drew me to it. And when I was drawn to it, I started doing my own little investigation and stuff. And, I started realizing then that there were other coins and other tokens, other badges, other metals that have been struck and minted by the U.S. Mint and by, other mints across, the planet. Like you got the Royal Mint, in Britain. Then you got the Paris Mint in France. Then you got the New Zealand Mint, if I'm not mistaken, that's down in Australia. And you got the South African Mint, Then you got the Canadian Mint. You got a lot of mints, and a lot of these mints, they produced a lot of coins. They produce a lot of tokens. They produce a lot of badges that basically commemorated their nation, So during my, doing my trek, basically, in coin collection, as time went on, with me collecting all these different coins and studying the different histories that, that involved these different coins. One day I was just looking, at all of these coins that I was collecting, and I was saying, well, why doesn't the 5% nation have a commemorative, coin and precious metals like other nations have coins and precious metals to represent our nation? A lot of these nations, they use precious metals to commemorate their nation, because the thing about precious metals like gold and silver and platinum, they don't tarnish They don't rust away. You know, some of these precious metals, they don't. If you put them away properly and store them properly with the proper, you know, temperature and things like that, you know, they're not going to rust or decay. And even if they do rust or decay, some of them do have a tendency maybe to tone, you know, as they age. You know, they still are cemented, you know, in that metal. You know what I'm saying? Whatever metal you use, whether it be copper, whether it be platinum, whether it be silver, palladium, or whether it be, you know, gold. So I said, man, I would like for our nation, you know what I'm saying, to also, you know, be represented in the same fashion. For us to have our own, token to commemorate our nation, so that, you know, when people, you know, see it, they'll be, you know, just as, you know, how can I say, amazed at how beautiful the coin is. Because when you look at the coin, you know, whether it's dipped in gold or whether it's minted in gold or whether it's just, you know, nickel silver or plated in gold, or whether it's all silver, you know, 99% silver, or whether it's let's just say a coin that's been custom enameled. When people look at the beauty of the coin, you know, they're going to be drawn to it. Just like I was drawn to a lot of coins when I started collecting, you know. So one of the things I want to point out is a lot of different nations, they had their flags put on their coins, you know, and they did this because they wanted people, when they collected them, or when they saw them, they wanted people to recognize their flag. You know?
Where the wealth was coming from.
They wanted to recognize where the wealth was coming from, where the flag, what the flag represented. Here goes $5 silver. Oops. These are $5 silver Canadian maple leaf coins, right? These are all silver. This is an ounce of silver here, right? And it's a $5. It's got the queen. I think, if I'm not mistaken, that's Queen Elizabeth. What queen is that up there? I can't remember her name. I got to look at it. Yeah, that might be Queen Elizabeth II or something like that. She's on the front of the coin, and on the back of the coin, you got the Canadian flag back there, right? That's the maple leaf right there. So, you know, these, I collect these, I keep these. As you can tell from the sound of this is just pure, basically pure silver here. We can just weigh it and see how many grams one of these you know, maple leaf silver dollars are. Okay, so that's a full silver ounce right there. You know, it doesn't have any alloy. It doesn't have any alloy, anything like that. And that's a full ounce right there. And these are heavy. These are beautiful maple leaf $5 silver, you know, $5 silver coins here, right? So you can see that they have their flag on the back of their coins, right? So here we have, let me see if I can, this would be here. Is this one of the Mexican reals? Okay, I'm gonna try to see if I can find a Mexican real that's basically open already. I don't want to find anything that's closed, because then I gotta break it open and everything. Let me see if I get one of these. What is this? This is a Cuauhtémoc. Maybe I could use one of these, a Cuauhtémoc coin, right? Cuauhtémoc, he was like the last Aztec warrior god that fought against the conquistador Hernan Cortez down in Mexico. And this was their flag, the Mexican flag. I don't know if a lot of you are familiar with the Mexican flag. They have a eagle on top of a cactus plant with a snake in its mouth, right? Let me see if this is actually one of them. Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, that's the eagle. He's on top of the cactus plant, and he has a snake in his mouth. He's devouring a snake. If you ever see the Mexican flag, which is basically green, white, and red, if I'm not mistaken, in the middle of it, they have an eagle that's on top of a cactus plant with a snake in its mouth. And this coin here would weigh, see, that's a full ounce too. That's another ounce, you know, and it's not even as big as the maple leaf, but the maple, you know, it's still an ounce. You know, when you got that ounce, you got that ounce. That's what people are basically worried about.
In Cuauhtémoc, he was, like you said, he was one of the last rebels in leading a rebellion against the Spaniards.
That's right. And down in Mexico, you know, down there, they called it Tenochtitlan back then. And it was the capital city of the Aztecs at one time, before the conquistadors came down there and basically took over that, right? So that was they have their flag on the back of their coin. Now we're gonna see another coin here. Let's go with if I can find an American silver dollar here. I'm pretty sure I got one of these out here. Let me get up here so I can kind of find one of these for you. Here's an American silver dollar. Now what they did with her in this coin here, this is actually a 250th anniversary Army commemorative coin. And they made this coin to commemorate the 250th anniversary of them having an army over here in America that fought against the British when they gained their independence. And as you can see, right, they got the eagle, the Type 2 eagle on the back, right, designed by Emily Damstra. And then on the front here, they got the Liberty Lady, right? And the Liberty Lady, if you look closely, she's draped in the American flag. She's got the stripes coming down over her legs and everything. And it's basically in the front and the back of the Liberty Lady. And then at the top, you can see the stars, which is flowing in front of or behind her arm and her hands and everything. That's their flag. It almost kind of looks like a universal flag, got like a seven kind of look to it. You know, got the stars right there, and she's the moon, and you know, got the seven. If you see the sun down there, the sun is actually down there, you know, rising, you know, or setting in the west or whatever, you know. So this represents the American silver eagle and their flag. So this let me know that, hey, you know, the 5% Nation should also have a commemorative coin representing our nation, so that when people see our nation in precious metals, they're gonna look at us like they look at all other nations across the globe that are.
And I remember you telling me one time too, God, that was actually one of the sciences that brothers used to make sure others brothers got out here in Nahawa was the science of that Statue of Liberty.
Right. I remember some of the elder gods telling us that, you know, the Statue of Liberty, in the book that she held, you know what I'm saying? That book was supposed to have the science of the 6 human families, you know what I'm saying? And that was a science that was taught back then. I don't really remember it. I would have to basically refresh my memory. I don't want to, you know what I'm saying, disseminate any false information on that. But that was the one thing that kind of caught my attention when I heard a brother say, like, you know, it's got the 6 human families in that book. And, you know, she's got 7, you know what I'm saying, things coming out of her head, what they call those 7, not horns, I don't want to say horns, on her crown, you know what I'm saying. She's got 7 points coming out the crown, and they're supposed to represent, you know what I'm saying, woman, you know what I'm saying, being God. You know, they kind of like wanted to make the woman the superior individual over here, or that's what they wanted it to represent, you know what I'm saying? So they were going to put the wisdom before the knowledge, you know what I'm saying? When they sent the Statue of Liberty over here. They didn't put a man over here with the torch, but we the light bearers, we the gods, we bear the torch, you know what I'm saying? And we giving the people the right and exact knowledge so that they can, you know, proceed in life in the right direction, you know what I'm saying, versus the wrong direction.
And that was rooted in Greek mythology, correct? With
which one?
The Statue of Liberty. You know how they had different Aphrodites and all that type stuff.
One thing I could say is that I know that there was
many, not just the Greek mythology. But
listen, the whole United States background is based on a lot of Greek mythology. A lot of their courts and justice systems is built in the Greek faction, like the old Greek temples. And one of the goddesses in Greek mythology at one time was named Liberty or Libertad, you know what I'm saying? And she was the goddess of liberty, you know what I'm saying? Then you had other goddesses, like you said, Aphrodite, you know, you had Athena, you know. There were other goddesses that they named Isis and stuff like that, right? You know what I mean? So I know that the Liberty woman was a goddess in Greek mythology way back, and like I said, the European never forgot their history. You know, they always, you know, put some form of their history, whether it goes all the way back to the islands of Crete, or whether they trace it back to the, you know what I'm saying, the ice age of the European land, they always have some form of their, you know, culture in all the things that they build, you know what I'm saying, anywhere on the planet, you know, you'll see it. So we have to do the same thing. We have to let the people know that, you know what I'm saying, that wherever we go, you're going to see a lot of parts of our history taught and brought with us when we take it and travel with it and bring it to different parts of the planet for people to hear it. And we're going to make sure when they do get it that, you know what I'm saying, they get it right and exact, and that they know that they can trust us to tell them and know that we know what we're talking about, and that they'll be able to research it and find out and see for themselves that what it is that we're teaching is right and exact. One of the things that really, you know, caught my attention when I started collecting coins was a coin called the Spanish Real coin. And this coin was one of the first coins that was struck by New Spain. New Spain was known as Mexico, or it was the old paradise that they called Tenochtitlan. Once they destroyed Tenochtitlan and found silver down there and created, you know what I'm saying, different mints out there in Mexico, which was some of the first places they really got silver from in the New World, down there in Mexico and in Bolivia. They started striking a coin called the Spanish Real. It was known as the 8 Real. And this coin here represented the crown. You see the British crown or the Spanish crown there at the top. I would have to look at it so I can explain it a little better. You got the Spanish crown at the top there, and this was their coat of arms. It looks like, if I'm not mistaken, it's got a lion and a castle. Leon de Castile is basically what that represented. This on this side right here represented the pillars of Hercules. These two pillars right here, they had two crowns. They had an imperial crown and a royal crown at the top there. Those two globes represented the old world and the new world. When the conquistadors left the old world to Spain and traveled to the new world, which was the Americas or Mexico, which is South America, Central America, and different places like that. And this coin right here became known as the first form of global currency. Like, this was the nuclear bomb of the, you know, the original stock market, you know. And you can take this coin anywhere in the world and it was valid in any country, everywhere. And like our dollar is broken up into 4 parts, which is 25 cents each part. This Spanish real was broken down into 8 parts. It was called the Ocho Reales, or the Spanish Real, you know, because it had broken down to 8 parts. They would actually cut this thing like a pizza pie into 8 parts, and each part was worth 12.5 cents, which was like 1 bit. 2 bits was 25 cents. In the Americas, they actually had coins. This was a 2-cent coin right here that a lot of people probably haven't ever seen before. This is the 2-cent coin. I'm just seeing how they can see that. I don't know which way it is, because this is kind of an old one here. But this is a 2-cent coin, you know. They also, and because when they had to give change, when they, you know, people wanted their change, they cut the thing into a 12.5 cent coin, and they spend it, and they were supposed to get back maybe 6.5 cents, so or 7.5 cents. So you got your 5-cent coin, then you got your 2-cent coin, and then you had a 1/2 cent. I had a 1/2 cent here, but I don't know what I did with that doggone 1/2 cent. But I had a 1/2 cent here also. But that's the 2-cent coin. They also had a silver 3-cent coin. They called it a trine. You know, this was a 3-cent coin here, silver 3 cent. You know, they made this in the Americas. And just so that you know, that, you know, there were times where we had coins and circulating coinage that you don't see anymore now, that was here in the Americas at one time, and they don't make them anymore. But they actually used these coins when the only coins that were being circulated in on the planet was the Spanish real. The Spanish real, their coins went all over. They actually spent this coin in the Americas until 1857, at least almost 100 years after we already had our first mint. Our first mint was established in 1792. and we were still using the Spanish real coin. We had German coins. We had British coins. There were a lot of different type of coins that we had used because we didn't have all, a lot of silver and a lot of metals that we could make our coins with. So we actually used a lot of other coins, a lot of other nations' coins until we was able to actually really, step up our game with our silver and gold and, become independent of all other different coins. So yeah, I just wanted to give that brief right there. They've made commemorative coins in America for years now, at least 100 years now. You've got the Texas Lone Star coin. This is a Texas coin of independence. If I'm not mistaken, their independence was probably 1834 or something to that effect. And so they made a 100-year coin, a 1930. What is that? 1934 coin. So this is the Texas coin here. You see the star on it, or is the star on this side? That's the star. It's the Lone Star Texas coin, commemorative $50 coin. This is actually legal tender. I could go in the store and spend it. This is backed by the U.S. government. I could spend that coin and for 50 cents, but that coin is worth more than 50 cents. This is the Columbus Exposition coin. They made one for Columbus, okay, 1892 and 1893. They made a Columbus coin, right? On the back, they actually have a boat here. If I'm not mistaken, a boat on top of the two worlds. If you remember, I told you about the old world and the new world. That's what that coin represents, him traveling or being the first one to travel from the old world to the new world. And then you had the Isabella coin. She's the one, her and Ferdinand, if I'm not mistaken, they financed the voyage for Columbus to take across the Atlantic over into the New World. So there's your Isabella coin, and these coins are worth some scratch.
And he would have never made it had it not been for an original man.
Exactly, and if I'm not mistaken, his name was Pedro Alonso. Nino, right? Yeah, something to that effect, right? And then, and like I said, they made plenty of commemorative coins. Let me see. I think I've got a Monroe Doctrine coin here. You got the Monroe Doctrine coins from James Monroe.
And for anyone that's not familiar with the Monroe Doctrine, what's the science behind it, guy?
If I'm not mistaken, it was James Monroe and John or Quincy Adams. They put together a document. Basically telling all of the other countries that was coming over here or coming to the Americas to blood suck the land of all of the different riches that the lands held, whether it be sugar cane or whether it be oil or whether it be gold or silver or whatever. They made up a document saying you guys can't come down here and take nothing from nobody no more. North America, Central America, South America is all one America. You come down here and try to take something or do anything to the natives down here, then you're going to have a problem with us. So that was, in so many words, that's what that doctrine was supposed to have been representing, without going into too much detail. At one time, all our coins that we went to the store with or bartered and traded with, and that circulated around the globe, because we had coins, we had trade dollars and other coins that circulated around the globe too. They were all silver. They were all made of silver, either 90% silver or 100% silver. I've got coins here that I can show you here.
And what's the science behind them being made in silver opposed to gold?
Well, silver meant that your money was backed by a silver, exchange or whatever like that. Plus, it represented you actually having something that was worth value, that had some value to it.
Because prior to the Americas, silver was scarce.
Silver was scarce. Okay,
so
cool. When it got to the Americas, in places like I know that they excavated silver or dug silver out of places called the Potosi. That was one of the most famous mints. The Potosi was known, it was called the crown jewel of the planet, of the world, the viceroy of Britain or Spain. It was one of those guys up there. They labeled the Potosi Mountain, or the mountain that eats men, or the Cerro Rico mountain down in Bolivia, you know, the Potosi Mountain, as the crown jewel of the world, because that mountain was, they had took so much silver out of that mountain that it was said that mountain basically populated 80 to 90% of the silver for the whole world that came out of that mountain. And a lot of people died getting that silver out of there, because when they couldn't enslave the Indians no more, when the Indians was getting sick and dying from all that mercury down there coming out the mountains crippled, you know, because, you know, they was stuck in those mountains for weeks at a time. They had to go and enslave, they had to go and bring enslaved Africans out there who was basically not, they were kind of like immune to a lot of the different sicknesses. Besides the mercury, they was getting sick with smallpox and other kind of, you know, malarias and typhoid fevers and all of that stuff. They was getting sick with that the Africans didn't get sick from. So when the Indians basically died off and they couldn't mint or extract any more silver out of the mountains, you know, they got African slaves to go down there and take a lot of that silver out. And that's the reason why Allah didn't want us to eat no tuna. That was one of the reasons why, because when I studied that history and seeing how much the mercury was killing or crippling, you know, the native population down there, I was saying to myself, well, dang, now I see why Allah, you know, saying when he gave us a dietary law, how he didn't want us to really mess with tuna, because tuna is known to consume a lot of mercury in the seas when it goes out feasting, or that's one of the diets. That's one of the ingredients that's included in the tuna fish diet.
It's the highest fish with mercury.
Right. So Allah didn't want us eating it because he knew that mercury had the ability to basically, you know, weaken us. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, when you study that history, you know that the Potosi mountain, that's Potosi, that was one of the main mountains that they extracted silver from. And then they extracted silver from Santo Domingo, Colombia, Peru, different places in the Americas, Mexico, you know, which was called Tenochtitlan, the Zacatecas mountains. They had took a lot of silver out of there.
And that actually tie into, God, when you mentioned that actually tie into with some of our degrees, specifically in the 1 to 36, where they talk about, you know, the trader making interpretation that they would receive more gold, which was more than they was earning in their own country. So, you know, a lot of those enslaved people actually didn't get enslaved until they made it to the Americas and realized that they had been had, because it's just like even with Cortez, when he came with the Aztecs and trying to take their riches, the first thing he did was he offered the people or the warring tribes of that geographical location the opportunity to gain more riches, to be the head power
by taking over their enemy and stealing their riches. So these Indians thinking that, okay, cool, man, we're gonna help you, the conquistadors, conquer our enemy over there, and you're gonna share the gold with us, right? And then when they get over there and they conquer these people, they realize that the conquistadors ain't got no plans of sharing nothing with them. They taking it all and then they enslaving them. So they was tricked. You know, they was tricked into a lot of that. But yeah, so, you know, my main objective here, you know what I'm saying, is basically making sure that the people know the intention of me creating our own commemorative coin to be represented, to be a representation piece for our nation by all other nations when they see it, and them saying to themselves, hey man, you know, these guys, man, they really serious about what they're doing. You know, they want their history to be etched in gold and minted in silver, so that people can see it hundreds and maybe even thousands of years later. They might find it and be like, yo man, what is this? Oh, this is I know what I seen that flag before. That's a 5% nation flag, man. Dang, I didn't know them guys had their own coin. So I'm just basically putting this out there. Here goes a Lafayette dollar. This is a major dollar here, and this represented Marquis de Lafayette. Anywhere you see the word Lafayette or the state Lafayette or anything representing Lafayette, it was basically because this was the man that helped George Washington win the Revolutionary, the War of Independence, rather, for America. He was from France, and he basically came over with an army too, And with the French army and the Continental Army of the Americas together, they were able to defeat the British. And for that, for his help in the War of Independence, they created a commemorative coin for General Lafayette, who sits atop a horse right here, as you can see. And then right here, he's next to George Washington in this coin. That's him and George Washington together. They put George Washington. And this was the first commemorative $1 coin, silver coin actually. That's another thing I want all y'all to know. These are silver coins. All of these are not copper clad coins. All the coins that you see here besides the pennies or the cents, these are silver. All of these are silver, just so you know. I just want to make sure you know the Mexican coins, the Canadian, the American, the flowing here silver dollar, metal. All of these are different. All these coins, these commemorative coins, the Spanish 8 real, ultra reales coins, a lot of these coins. The only one that's not, I can pull this up here for you, is these are Kennedys. These are 50-cent Kennedy U.S. Mint coins. They come straight from the U.S. Mint. You probably can't, you really can't find these no more in the U.S. Mint. But these are 50-cent pieces. They're not going to make these coins anymore. You're not going to see 50-cent pieces coming from the U.S. Mint anymore. This is one is from the Denver Mint and one is from the Pennsylvania Mint. That's the Pennsylvania Mint there, and this is the Denver Mint right here. And the reason why I wear gloves is because you don't want to tarnish the metal with your fingertips. You got wax, you got oil on your fingers and stuff. You don't want to tarnish it. So they're going to make a different 50-cent piece next year from the U.S. Mint. And if I'm not mistaken, it's going to have a picture of Lady Liberty on the metal. And then the year after that, in 2027, they're going to make another Kennedy. But this time, Kennedy is not going to be facing westward, how he's facing here. He's not going to be facing west. He's going to be facing east. They're going to change the direction that Kennedy is actually facing in the next 50-cent piece, which will come out in 2027. 2026 is the semi-quincentennial year. America is going to be printing new nickels, new dimes, new quarters, new 50-cent pieces, and new dollars next year. And they're going to stop minting the cent, the penny. They don't like to say penny. They say penny is a British term, so they like to say cents.
2026 also deals with a new trimester, correct?
A new trimester, check that out. Right, now the trimester, as we was taught, meant that
from 36 going to 7, from 26 going into 27, correct?
26, it'll be the last 6 months of the 2026 year, and the full 12 months of the 7 year, right, of the 2027 year, which is the whole year. And it was told to us that those who were basically trapped in 6 or going through 6 or going through worlds that was giving them problems and that they couldn't really, come up out of, that they would fall even harder during the trimester if they haven't already mastered, the world that they're dealing with of 6, whether it be, woman, or whether it be drugs, or whether it be crime, or whether it be, anything that was detrimental to you. If you wasn't able to, master that, then when the trimester came, you would be tried like 3 times, you would be tried. And if you wasn't able to master it, then you would fall deeper into that world of 6. So it's good that people know that next year, you better, make sure you got yourself together and strive to stay, above 6 at all times, because this will be the year where you be tried the most, So that's how we was taught that, Anything else you want to know about the science that I'm dealing with, God?
Yeah, God, in regards to the commemorative coin that you have made, what's going to be the science on the metal it's actually used?
Good question, God. Real good question. Because I want to make sure that people know that the metal that we using is not going to include any kind of 10% fluff. When we had our own coins in the Americas that were made of silver, all our coins were made out of silver except the penny, because that was made out of basically copper. But all the other coins, and besides the penny and the nickel, they were made out of silver. And when the coins that were supposed to be an ounce of silver, one thing that the people knew, if you had a coin that was an ounce of silver, only 90% of that coin was, silver, and the other 10% of that coin was fluff or alloy metal that they used to keep the silver hard, because this was a circulating coin, meaning that it was exchanged in people's hands in common everyday, exchange. So you had to make sure that the metal would be strong enough to be able to withstand being damaged and broken up and bent up and out of shape, for the years that it was going to be used, as currency. So they would put an alloy, but it was internationally recognized that the alloy that they put in all of the metals back then would be 10% only of whatever 100% that coin was. So if you had let's say you had there, like this dollar right here. Let's take, for example, you got one of these dollars, right? This is an actual United States dollar here, right? This is a dollar that that they mint now today, and if I'm not mistaken, it's got the I can't remember what's the science behind that, but this is a dollar. This is an actual dollar that the U.S. made, right? And it represents, if I'm not mistaken, this is the Capitol building down in D.C. And that is the goddess of justice, if I'm not mistaken. She sits atop the Capitol down in D.C. And this is a $1 coin, just like the dollar coins that we had years ago, the silver dollars that we had. Now this coin right here weighs 27.21. If you remember earlier, the other coins weighed 31.1. They were all silver. Now this coin weighs 27.21, and 10% of that coin, or 2.72 grams of that coin, is an alloy metal. It's not full silver. So this coin you see right here is not 27.21 grams of silver. 10% of this coin is an alloy metal, and the other 90% of this coin is a silver. It's silver metal. So one thing that people had to be careful about is making sure you know the science of ounces, because when you take metal, or when you take precious metal to jewelers in this day and time, be it gold, be it platinum, or be it silver, they weigh the metal, the precious metal, on a scale according to troy ounces versus standard ounces, or avoirdupois ounces. I couldn't ever get that word right, but so I'll just say standard.
So that's
ounces.
how you know if someone's trying to get over, because they'll be quick to try to do it standard ounce, and if the person doesn't have knowledge of the fact that these have to be measured in troy ounces, that 10% could actually be taken or charged in regards to if you're buying precious metal, or if you're selling it.
That's right.
They'll undercut you for what it's really worth if you don't have the proper knowledge on
precious
standard weight
and ounces. So if you go to a jewelry store and you want to buy an ounce of gold, and the guy puts the gold on the scale, and he gives you a standard ounce, 28 grams, and tell you, okay, well, 28 grams right now, an ounce of silver right now is $41. So you got to pay me $41 for this ounce. And you take this 28 grams of silver and you give him the $41, and he gives you the ounce. Now, if you go to another jeweler and you tell him that, yo, listen, I want to sell you this ounce of silver, and he puts that ounce of silver on the scale, and he only sees 28 grams, he's going to say, you're missing another 3 grams. You're going to talk about, what you mean, man? The guy just weighed it. No, man. What was the weight when he weighed it? Oh, well, he weighed it and he said it was 28 grams an ounce. He said he would tell the guy, the merchant would tell the guy, or whoever's trying to sell the silver to him, that we don't weigh precious metals in standard ounces. Your precious metals have to be weighed in troy ounces. So if somebody sold you that 28 grams for an ounce, then you got to go back and get the rest of your money, because you just lost money if you paid him for a full ounce, because that's not a full ounce. A full ounce is 31 grams, which is a troy ounce, instead of 28 grams. So he would owe you basically 10% of that $40 that you just gave him. So you got to go back and get that. So that's the thing you got to know about, weighing. What I would do to keep it simple, what you do is, when you go in the store, you want to buy some jewelry, some ounces or whatever. You tell him to put it on the scale first. Make sure when he puts it on the scale, right? Make sure when he puts it on the scale that it weighs. Let me show you that it weighs at least 31 ounces. If it weighs 31 ounces, if it weighs 31 grams, you can bring the camera over here so I can show him. If it weighs 31 grams or close to 31 grams, then you know that the scale is set at the ounce, right? There's your ounce. There's a full ounce right there. That's 999 fine silver. That's a full ounce of silver. Then you can tell them, yeah, well, now I know you got it at the weight that it's supposed to be because you just weighed a full ounce of silver. Now we can go ahead and buy my jewelry and you can weigh it and sit and I can see what it is, you know? So you can tell them to weigh it first. Make sure that it's sitting at an ounce so that you can so you know you're buying an ounce once he's done, you know what I'm saying, bringing out your merchandise for you to buy.
And going back to this coin, God, like I say, it's gonna be it's gonna be silver. It's not gonna be any mixed dilute, like you said.
Well, let me make sure that
for the ones that get pure silver.
Right. Okay.
Because you're also offering another option that's more cost efficient, and it's, you know, it's less of a financial burden for some of those people dealing with this economy. Because at the end of the day, what everyone needs to know is that this was something that you created from your own mind through the inspiration of you doing the knowledge to this other history that you found within these coins and things of that nature. And your sole reason for creating this coin is, like you say, a commemoration to our nation and for us to embed our own history in, so to speak, silver. Mm-hmm. And it's not something that you're trying to get rich off of, or it's not something where you're actually taking something and using it as an investment to make more money. Like everything that you already have paid for up front, from securing the silver, from if I'm not mistaken, where you got the silver from?
I got the silver from a major distributor, a subsidiary company of a major company, and they basically wouldn't even let me buy my own silver because
you tried to get it from Mexico originally, right?
I tried to get it from Mexico. I figured I can get it cheaper, you know what I'm saying? But they was no, they would have to bring their own silver because they didn't want any kind of, you know, mix up going on. Yeah, any funny business. They don't know me, I don't know them, but it's all good. I plan on doing the right thing with them anyway, so it was no problem for them to bring their own silver. And it's easy to make sure, you know, to make sure that when you get your coin that you buy that is silver, there's ways you can check it to make sure that it's silver. First thing you can do is weigh it. When you weigh it, you got to make sure that the all silver, the 999 silver, actually weighs a full troy ounce when you put it on the scale. You can also make sure it's silver when if you try to put a magnet to it. If you put a magnet to silver, silver creates its own magnetic, you know, particles. You know, it has its own magnetic charge that repels other magnets, silver and gold. Real silver and real gold will not stick to a magnet. So if you get a piece of precious, so-called precious metal, and it sticks to a magnet, that means it's not silver. It wasn't ever silver. Somebody just sold you some counterfeit metal, and you need to go back and get your money unless you knew what you was getting from the beginning. So, but these are the ways that you can tell whether you got real silver or whether you got, you know, some counterfeit. And counterfeit, you got to beware of counterfeits because they got a lot of counterfeit coins out there. The Chinese are notorious, you know what I'm saying, for creating counterfeit coins. So if you see anybody else selling the commemoratives of the 5% Nation, know that it is counterfeit.
It's no other producer of this coin.
Nobody produces this coin.
You have to come to a law intelligence, and you getting what you pay for.
You getting what you pay for. So
and you're not, like I said, the guy's not charging you extra. He's not making a profit off it. Mm-hmm. You're getting the exact price that was charged in order to make this coin. And like I said, the sole purpose was for us to have this coin as a piece of history to add on to our nation, to, like I say, basically write our name in silver, in a precious metal that can last a lifetime. Mm-hmm. And it can stand on its own test of time and tell a story in regards to the presence of the 5% nation that has always been here and that will always be here for years, months, and days to come. So dealing with, like I say, the brother has, go ahead, give the people a rundown on the price variations.
Well, let me let them know first the kind of silver I got. Like you were saying, I made it economically, you know what I'm saying, beneficial for individuals that couldn't afford, you know, a full commemorative coin. A commemorative coin that had full silver, you know what I'm saying, 100% silver in it. So some of the coins that I made were made out of nickel silver, meaning that it was nickel plated in silver, right? That's more economically, you know, beneficial for a lot of people to get, you know what I mean? They're not as expensive as the other coins. So you got the nickel silver coin, the root coins are the nickel silver coin, and the 100% silver. 100% silver is the 999 fine silver coin, meaning that it's 99.9% fine silver, pure silver, which means in the precious metal world, it is 4 ounce of silver. Okay, now you can get one of your coins with the colors of the flag on it. I'm pretty sure you can show that to them when you present your presentation to them. You can get the full colors of the flag on it, which will have the white background with the black and the gold points, as well as the moon, and the moon will be colored, the 7 and the star will be colored, and you have a gold bar at the bottom.
The white background.
And the white background, and you can put your name in the gold bar, right? You have that option. You have the option of just a 100% pure silver coin, which all of the coins are the size of this coin right here, like a silver dollar, right? These are nice coins that basically fit right in the palm of your hand. They're bigger than a 50-cent piece, right? And they actually silver dollars. I had them made the size of silver dollars. I could have had them made the size of 50-cent pieces, but no, to start off, I wanted ours to stand out, you know what I'm saying? I wanted to have some definition, some volume. When people hold it, I wanted them to know that they holding a full ounce of beautiful silver. So you can take the silver, you can get 24 karat gold plated silver coin. You can get 24 karat gold plated nickel silver coin. You can get a full silver coin that's custom enameled with our universal flag colors on it, with your name in it. Or you can just get a nickel silver coin, which is the color that it is, the nickel color, or you can get a full silver coin. You know, and like I said, they all the shape and size of a dollar that they used to distribute years ago, like the 8 real. That was like the dollar. That was the silver dollar of that day. The flowing hair silver dollar. The flowing hair silver dollar was the first silver dollar of the United States of America. That was it. These dollars are basically, you know, they had 400. Oh, excuse me. They basically have 416 grains of metal and precious metal in it. I think it was like 371.5 grains of silver, and the remainder of that would be the 10% alloy that they had. So this was the American silver dollar. This was the Spanish silver dollar that they made in New Spain, Mexico. Well, they called it New Spain because it was the Spanish conquistadors that went over to Mexico, conquered it, and you know, extracted all these silver out of there.
Which is where we get the terms Hispaniola and Hispanic from, which is a derogatory term that a lot of our original brothers and sisters don't even realize was imposed on them, and eventually is culturally accepted now, as you'll catch one of the 2 million Indians that'll say, well, I'm Hispanic, not even realize that it's a derogatory term that basically means his Spain. Like you said, the new Spain.
The New Spain, right? Exactly. That's what they call it, the New Spain. So, you know, so that's basically. I just like to show, you know, that, you know, these commemorative coins. They make commemorative coins in the Americas all the time. Some of these coins are graded. Some of these coins are in gold. Some of these coins are in silver. You know, here's a one that's been graded and slabbed by a recognized U.S. Grading, third-party grading company. And here's a gold one here that's been graded by a third-party grading company. You know, these are coins that are commemoratives, meaning this right here was the first silver dollar in the Americas, and they made a commemorative one in 2024. This coin here, you can find this coin now for about $6,000 or $7,000 on eBay right now. This coin here, you can find this one for about $300-400 to $500 now. You know, and when you make commemorative coins, you kind of it has its own little price on it. When America put their anniversary coins out for the Army, this right here, this is an Army coin. It's representing the 250th celebration for the Army, 250th year that the Army has been in operation over here in the Americas. Now, this is an ounce, this is a full ounce of silver, but they sold this coin for $105, right? Mm-hmm. So, you know, my coin, it'll have an upcharge on it, but it won't be nothing that nobody, you know what I'm saying, that anybody would think that it would basically be trying to hit somebody's pockets or hurt somebody's pockets or try to make a major profit off of. No, these coins are coins that you're not going to see anywhere else. You can only get from, you know, from a certain source. That being the case, you know, you pay a price for it so that we can buy more, you know, because this invention here that I put together, it didn't happen without the proper tools necessary to create that. You know, you had to create dies. These dies cost hundreds of dollars, and I'm talking about a die that they create or that they make the pattern on, which is our universal flag. Yeah. Right? They cast the universal flag on one side, then they have to make a die, which you got to pay hundreds of dollars for the other die, for them to make a pattern for the back of that coin. Then you have to use their facility, you have to use their workers, you have to use their machines, and you have to use their labor, right? You have to, and each coin being struck, these coins, they charge you for these coins. They charge you an upcharge for the silver that you buy, you know. They charge you the shipping and handling, and you have to be there. I would be there waiting for my coins. I'm not going to be out working somewhere. I want my coins to be when they come. I'm standing right there. I'll take a day off of work, you know what I'm saying, to make sure that I'm there to sign for it and get them, you know, unless I go out there and pick them up myself. So, but all of these things cost money. These little nickel and dime things that they do in order for them to, you know, for them not to go broke, you know, to make sure you get what you got. They charge it to you. So these things will be charged to the customer. I mean, it ain't nothing crazy though, but you know, it's not like you just, I'm not selling you an ounce of silver. You want to buy an ounce of silver, you can go to any We Buy Gold and Jewelry or We Buy Gold and Silver store and get you an ounce of silver. This is a special ounce of silver. You know what I'm saying? It's created in a special way. It's created on precious metals to preserve our precious history. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So this will cost you a little bit, but it ain't nothing crazy, like the God said.
Yeah, you got various price options. Like I say, for those who want to have that history, you can go with the $35 coin. Mm-hmm. And for those that want to preserve the history, but they want the actual
precious metal
pure, they have that option as well. And just for clarity purpose, what everyone needs to know is that in no way, form, or fashion is the God trying to create a currency. These are commemorative coins. It's not a coin that's going to be used towards actual currency or in the near future. Like, these are, because that would actually be illegal.
Yeah, because you're not allowed to create a new currency for your nation while you're under the government of another country, right? So if we're under the government of the United States, and the law taught us, you know, to obey the laws of the government as long as they do right by us. So, you know, the government ain't did nothing wrong to us. We got the opportunity to go out and do everything that they can do in order to, you know, be financially, you know, stable and doing the things we need to do to take care of our universe. You know,
because this is where we live. We're not against the government.
We're not against the government. We're not against the government.
We pro America because the knowledge was brought here to the people of North America.
That's right, and it was brought in for a reason because they knew that it was meant for us. So what I'm saying is, I'm actually doing something that you can kind of term that's called exonumia. Exonumia is the study and the science of you putting together tokens and badges and other memorabilia. I can't believe I can't
Memorabilia.
say that. Memorabilia, right? In the form of precious metals to, you know what I'm saying, preserve or to indicate a certain part of your history or historic event in your nation. You know, you can preserve that history in precious metals, and you can preserve it and put it together just like the common currency of America is put together, where we got coins with ridges at the end, the ridges around them, and it looks like an actual coin, but it is not a coin that you could take in the store and spend and purchase something like you spend regular money with. No, that's not what it is. This is a commemorative token, and it's something that's going to go down in history. And the 5% might not only be the ones that collect these tokens, because as you can see, if you look at my collection here, I got collections from oh man, look, I got a Panamanian Balboa. You know, I got Panamanian Balboas. These coins are from Panama. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I've got
conquistadors.
Yeah, conquistadors there, and they commemorate their own. They've done that. I've got Mexican reals. Here's a Mexican real, right? I've actually got German coins.
Oh yeah, that one was crazy when you showed me that one.
Yeah, I got it.
They actually got the swastikas on the coins.
So here go one of them here. You know, these are actual German coins, and they actually have swastikas on these coins. You know, here's another one. It's a smaller one, but this is a German coin here, and if I'm not mistaken, this one here, it has it, but you got to look a little closer on there. It's near the wingtip somewhere. I think it's at the bottom there. You might could see it. I don't know if you can see it there. It's on both the left and right sides, if I'm not mistaken. I can't see it. That might be it. I'm thinking that's it. Let me see there. Yeah, they're there. I don't know if you saw it.
Yeah, I got it.
So, I mean, you know, they have a lot of commemorative coins. There's coins all over the country, you know, coins everywhere that they use to commemorate. Here's another coin that was used to commemorate Cuauhtémoc, which is the last Aztec warrior god.
Yeah, I liked that one.
You know what I'm saying? Of the Aztecs there down in Tenochtitlan or Mexico City. You know, they commemorated this warrior because this man, you know, he defended the culture and the people, you know, with his till his dying day. And they actually have the Mexican sunstone on the back here. Let me see. Let me make sure I got it right. I can't see. I'm looking for that face in the middle.
Right there.
You see it? And do I got it the right side?
Turn it over to the left. Turn it over to the left. Go a little bit more that way. Bam. Let me see. Right there. Yeah.
Yep. So you know they make commemorative silver coins for their nation, and it looks just like a coin. It's got ridges here, and they made it out of 5 ounces here. So you can see it's 5 troy ounces. What does it say there? 5 troy ounces, you know?
99.95 silver.
You know, so this is what you do. You commemorate and put your history on precious metal so that it can live, you know, for a lifetime plus, you know? So this is the major objective for this right here. You know what I mean? So
preserving history as well as commemorating our nation and giving us our own token, because we already have our badges of honor. You know, the universal flags from completing our rites of passage. However, this is a commemoration by actual one of our nation members, Allah Intelligence. And something that he had a determined idea, because this wasn't an impulsive decision. It's been years, months, and days in the making. I remember sitting on the guy's couch, and he actually asked me, "Hey, yo, Born, what size you think this coin should be?" And we was going through he was showing me all these different coins, and he was giving me histories on them. And we was going down through there, and he gave me 2 different sizes. I say, man,
50-cent piece and the dollar size piece.
Yeah, and I say that one right there.
The dollar. And I was like, that's what I said. So yeah, we was on the same page with that one.
And now they here. Now the guy took everything from knowledge to born, and the coins is finally here. So everyone, like I say, if you would like to have that piece of history for yourself, for one of your children that's born in the nation, you might want to put their name in it or something. And like I say, just having that commemoration and the history being preserved of something that has never been done before. And you know, that's something that's been is now done in our day and time, that we can, as a nation, can actually say that we made and own, which is that commemorative coin of our universal flag, as well as on the back it's gonna say, you know, dealing with the science of who we are, the 5% nation, peace to the gods, peace to the earth.
5% nation, 1964. And that's 1964 is the year one of our Lord. That's the year one of our nation. That's what we agreed to. And that's why we say 1964. That's our year one right there. So that's a commemoration for the year that our nation started. It's also a commemoration for the flag, because our flag was created in May 1966, and we in the year 2025. So we got 4 more months, 3 to 4 more months before 2026 comes. So that commemorates the year from 1966 to 2026. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So that's a commemoration in itself right there, which is like what, 60 years or something to that effect,
Exactly.
right? So yeah, so this is what we do. You know, we do it like when America, when they got their independence, they didn't have no coinage, or they didn't have any kind of, you know, representation for them and their nation until maybe, how can I say it, maybe 30, 40 years after they got their independence. They got their independence in 1776. So no, we'll say maybe almost about 20 years before they had their first token, or their first coin system or money system, which was in 1792, right? So, which was, when I say 1792, I mean that was officially recognized by their federal government, which was a U.S. mint that they put together and started, which was in 1792. And if I'm not mistaken, the first federally official recognized coin came out in 1793, which was the large cent. Okay, so it was almost 20 years, you know, before they even got their first coins. And I'm not talking about the Fujio cent. The Fujio cent came out before the U.S. mint was even built, and so they look at that as the first coin of America, but it wasn't the first federally official coin of the Americas. The first federal official coin of the Americas, when they built their first mint, was supposed to be the 1793 flowing head coin, large cent. All right, if I'm not mistaken, that's how I kind of remember it. So now, you know, ours it's been a little, we were a little longer to get ours in the making, but we here now. You know, we got it in the making, and we're gonna put it out there for everybody to see it. And just like I was saying, I might not be 5%, and you might not see it. 5% is the only one with this coin. Somebody might look at the beauty of that coin, and they'll probably want to get it too. Just like me, I collect coins from all different nations, all kind of nations, because I'm a coin collector. I like the history, you know. I like what it represents, and some of these coins are worth, you know, a pretty penny. You know what I'm saying? So I like to have things that, you know, what they say, it appreciates in value as time goes on. All right. So, any other questions you might have, Bob?
I mean, you know, that's how can the people reach you in order to inquire about receiving one of their coins?
You can reach me at, if you want the gram, you know, you can reach me at the 5% Nation. You can reach me on the Guards page right here. The 5% Nation is your gram, right?
Right. Exactly.
You got the 5% Nation. You can also reach me at Grind Mode Transport on there. You can also email me at Intel. That's with 2 L's, INTELL 29 2002 at yahoo.com, right? And on Facebook, you can look for Allah Intelligence or Ronald Moore, which is my honorable name, because Allah wanted us to bring honor to our names that our mothers and fathers gave us, as well as our righteous names. So you can reach me on and you can inbox me at Allah Intelligence or Ronald Moore on Facebook. So that's how you can reach me. And if you got my number, you know, you can also text me or call me, because a lot of you guys got, you know, a lot of you gods and earths, y'all know me.
Is this now one other thing I want to ask before we conclude this is, you know how we have our way of people qualifying themselves in order to receive the badge of honor, the universal flag. How is it going to go distributing the coins? Like, are people going to have to be qualified, or is this more so, like you said? I know it's a commemorative coin, but how, is it going to be a process in who can receive the coin?
Well, let me put it like this: I'm not putting this coin in the hands of people that I feel is going to be destructive, or they're going to handle it in a destructive way, or they're not going to represent it properly. When you have people that are coin collectors, whether they're part of the nation or not, coin collectors handle their coins in a certain fashion. You know, you're not going to see a coin collector taking their silver coin out in the world and throwing it up in the air and putting it in at the top of their plate of pork chops or whatever it is they may be eating. That's not what this is. That's not how coin collecting goes. As you can see, I've got all my coins protected. You know, they're in plastic slabs. They're in cases. You know what I'm saying? And some of these over here, I've got them. Where I put quarters and things like that inside of my booklets and stuff like that. Like, coin collectors are not people that, you know what I'm saying, are sloppy with their material. They're not sloppy with their collection. They actually treasure their collection. They're not going to be using it in a detrimental fashion or to misrepresent, what the nation is. You know, people just don't go inside the coin collection and just start, mishandling it. So I don't think people in the nation would have to worry about a person who wants to collect coins and buy it from the nation and doing something and misrepresenting it or mishandling it handling it in any wrong fashion, because it's a collectible. It's something that people cherish. It's something that people really hold dear to their heart. So I plan on selling it to other coin collectors like myself, because I know how disciplined coin collectors are. So I don't think I would have to, or anybody else would have to worry about somebody misrepresenting when it comes to people who are coin collectors. I mean, that's just my see on it. If anybody else might have something that they might think, hey, let me know. I'm willing to listen to what anybody has to say. But for now, I sell it to nation members, people who want to give it to, as a token of appreciation to somebody, maybe honorary people, or, people that just want to keep it for themselves. That's who this is for, So that's my build on that.
Indeed, God, indeed. And, like I say, congratulations, because you definitely made history with this one. And we in the year 2025. That's Wisdom at a Cycle, Wisdom Power. And we know the science of wisdom power is when the original man renews his history every 25,000 years. So I'm glad and grateful that I was able to witness this history in the making and witness our history being renewed in the sense of new ideas being presented that preserves our history, because this is one of them. And this is something that I've never heard anyone speak about, and I know no one's probably even thought of, because outside of the 5% nation, I don't know any other nations that aren't established in the sense of an actual government that actually have a coin.
Commemorative tokens or coins or badges like this, that's been actually struck by a licensed facility, minting facility in the United States. It's like they had to actually go out and do an investigation, before they even decided to, take on this job. And after they did their investigation, I was kind of like surprised, because when they came to me and told me that they would do it, they were actually, more excited than what I thought that they would be. I kind of thought that it was probably something that they had up their sleeve, a trick or something that they had up their sleeve. Like, why were these people so happy to do, a commemorative coin for the 5% nation after all of the things that's the false things that's been said about us in the past, the many different, bad things that they got to say about us, especially when it comes to, other people or other races. But, it seemed like these individuals, man, when they took on this task, they were very happy to take on. They were excited. And when the coin was produced and they looked at it and they sent it to me, they told me, hey, man, that is a very beautiful coin. That's one of the most beautifulest coins I've seen. I was like, wow, you know what? I feel the same way. It's a very beautiful coin,
Yeah.
So they love the coin. They actually love it.
I love the coin.
I love the coin, like, wow, this thing is beautiful. So, I'm glad that, because I hold the universal flag dear to my heart. People who know me and have seen me and have heard my builds and know how I feel about, people knowing about this flag. Listen, I don't know, I've built with a lot of people that came from different regional areas, in the Americas, and they all came with their own breakdown. I don't know, maybe they got this breakdown from, that everybody in their area agreed to. But, when they came to me and they built with it, I made them understand, like, listen, when you leave from here with this flag and go to your region, if I visit that region one day, I want to make sure that if I ask a person about this flag, like if you start giving flags out in that region to other people that's knowledge their lessons and you took them through the rites of passage, I want to make sure that that person is basically saying the same thing over in that region that I'm saying over here in this region. We all is one. All minds is one here. You may have a different breakdown of how you seeing it, but it's correlating and coinciding with the breakdown that we see over here and where we're at. So I got to make sure that whoever has it, they have it right, and that's how much I love it. And I don't take people through no trick questions or nothing like that, man. Listen, you just got to know what this flag, you gotta know what the colors mean, you gotta know what the points mean, you gotta know what the objects up there mean. Everything means something on that flag. And
knowledge and wisdom of it.
Yeah, you gotta know the knowledge and wisdom of it at least. And then as time goes on, you'll get the understanding of it. You know what I'm saying? So every color, every point, every object, every letter in the name of Allah or in the name of whoever you are has a representation on that flag, and you have
all the way down to the gold bar.
All the way down to the gold bar, right? Because a good name is better than gold. You know what I'm saying? So when your name is etched in gold, you letting everybody know you just as good as gold. Whatever you telling them, or whatever you saying, whatever you manifesting to, whatever truth you giving them, is just as good as gold. They can weigh it and see that it weighs the proper amount of weight, and they can take it and know that whenever they produce it to somebody else or give it to somebody else, it's worth its weight in gold. That's what your name is representing. You know what I'm saying? Yo, such and such told me that. What? Such and such? Man, you did something great with that name. You built that name. You made that name good. So when people know that you said it, when people hear that you said it, they're gonna be like, oh, well, this shit, that must be genuine. It must be like gold, because I know that brother right there, his words is genuine, especially when it comes to that flag. So this is what this flag is representing, and everybody need to know that. It means something.
So yeah, God, we gonna end it here, and like I say, congratulations.
Thanks, God,
for etching that piece of history in this day and time, as well as if anyone's out there that has any questions or wants to inquire about this piece of memorabilia, then reach out to the 5% Nation on Instagram or Grind Mode Transportation.
Grind Mode
Transport part self.
Grab.
On Facebook, Law Intelligence, Ronald Moore. That's where you'll find them. And reach out to the God. And like I say, everything is real, and you won't be disappointed in how beautiful this coin looks. So with that being said, I'm gonna say peace.
Peace.
This video was brought to you by the 5% Nation and H. Medina and the H. Medina Media Group.